Hello, Foxy Finds here. Welcome back to Foxy's Shiny Quest. I've been looking through the Pokemon that we've caught, and there's a lot of loose ends I'd like to tie up. This week, we're going back to complete some Pokemon lines. Let's get this family reunion started. First on our list, Bronzong. I've been waiting for the day I encountered the other member of this family. Back when I encountered Bronzor, I started to tell the tale of a mirror and a bell. I went over the mirror part, now let's move on to the bell. I recommend you watch that first video before this one so that you can hear the entire story. Link in the description. Continuing where I left off, the woman in the story had decided to take her own life, leaving a note that the mirror she had would now melt and be able to be used to help cast the bell. However, she also wrote that whoever breaks the bell by ringing it would be given great wealth. Due to the belief that a person who died in anger or by suicide's last wish or promise would have a supernatural power behind it, many people came to try to break the bell. The bell was sturdy and withheld their attempts to break it, but the bell was rang so frequently that the priests that lived there were unable to bear its noise. They eventually rolled the bell into a swamp. This tale is why Bronzor is a mirror, which evolves into Bronzong, a bell. It may also be why this Pokemon's regular ability is heat proof, which halves the damage done to it by fire type attacks, which effectively removes one of its weaknesses. The other ability that it has as its regular ability is Levitate, which gives it an immunity to ground type. Back in Generation 4 and Generation 5, this Pokemon only had two weaknesses, fire and ground. This meant that when you encountered one of this Pokemon, or its lower form, you didn't know if fire or ground would be the type that was strong against it. Next up, we have Donphan. We covered this Pokemon's past, pre-evolution, and future. Time to talk about the Generation 2 Pokemon that premiered in the first Pokemon movie. This Pokemon is based off of an elephant and a tire. It was used to showcase the new move Rollout. This Pokemon was good enough that Ash got one on its team after evolving a Phanpy that he got from Neg. This also was one of the few Pokemon that had a shiny appearance in the anime, though just a passing one. Unlike Phanpy, who is difficult to tell when it's shiny or not, Donphan has a striking brown earthy tone instead of its usual gray. When I caught one before, it appeared as a Mastiff. This time, it's plain as day a Zorua, though you may have noticed that it looks different than the other one. This is the past regional form, Hisuian Zorua, which I of course evolved into Hisuian Zoroark. The Unnovan variant is Dark type, which is the original form. Zorua was then transported to the Hisui region and was met with the cruelty from humans there. This Pokemon embodies the vengeance that it felt when it died. These Pokemon do not trust humans easily, but you can earn their trust by treating one right. The Hisuian form is normal ghost type, a strong combination with its illusion ability, and it's immune to 3 types, one of which is a really common type for attacks. Continuing in the Hisui region, I found an Alpha Graveler not too far from Zorua. I had already caught an Alolan Graveler and a Cantonian Geodude. An Alpha Golem only made sense now. Golem was first shown in the anime beating a grass type and then losing to a fire type. Anime logic. This Pokemon is rock ground type, giving it a huge weakness to grass, although if we are cross-referencing the move that was used against it, it looks like the Pokemon that it was fighting against was at least level 46, and Golem could have been as low as level 25. That's the only way that it really makes sense to me. Graveler typically is evolved by trading, and I find it interesting that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, they wanted to make everything self-contained, so they had to find a way to make those evolutions possible. They introduced an item for evolving Pokemon that normally needed trading and called it the linking cord. This was a fun callback to the link cables that were used for trading back in the Game Boy days. On to the walking mushroom jellyfish, another Toadstool, which of course meant evolving it into Toadstool. A bit more color than its lower form, taller, more limbs. It's still a mushroom that looks like a jellyfish. And in case you didn't catch it, its name is a pun of toadstool. This Pokemon and its pre-evolved form have a signature ability that lets them go last when performing status moves, but also ignoring the abilities that the other Pokemon have that could prevent its execution. Not a bad trade-off, but not amazing. Dreadnought, the only Pokemon on this list that I caught fully evolved. This Pokemon felt really pushed in the advertising in Generation 8 to me. It had a Gigantamax form, it was shown really early on, a gym leader uses it as their ace, yet I feel it felt a bit flat. Don't get me wrong, I think it's about time that a turtle Pokemon was a snapping turtle, but also, do we really need another turtle Pokemon? Also, a double weakness to grass, not to mention it's not really strong enough to be that intimidating. Oh, it has a strong bite and is aggressive. This Pokemon here can make black holes. This one can eat a mountain. This one is made of magma. It just doesn't hold the same intimidation that these Pokemon have, and none of them are even supposed to be intimidating. I will say, I do like the shiny color though. And a Pokemon from just a couple weeks ago, Meowth, which I evolved subsequently into Persian. This Pokemon is a cougar, not a Persian. This Pokemon looks nothing like a Persian cat, unless you look at its Alolan form, but I recommend doing that as little as possible. They just slapped Garfield's face on it and colored it blue. In Generation 1, this Pokemon was flat out broken. Originally, the crit chance used the Pokemon's speed stat in the calculation. It was the base speed divided by 2. This percentage gave you your crit chance. For any Pokemon that had a base speed of higher than 100, like Persian, this meant that over half your attacks would be critical hits. However, Persian has access to moves such as Slash, which have a high crit chance, 8 times the chance. This game does have a 1 in 256 chance of missing any attack, but shy of that, Persian will crit whenever it uses Slash. Having same type attack bonus meant that this Pokemon would have 3 times the normal damage whenever it used this attack. Those are the facts. This is speculation though. In the anime, the head of Team Rocket had a Persian. He only was interested in powerful, rare, or valuable Pokemon. So, what's so special about his Persian? Other than perfectly completing the bad guy attire. Well, here's an image of Giovanni's Persian. Here's an image of a regular and a shiny Persian. Notice the inner ear color compared to the rest of its fur. Which one looks more like Giovanni's Persian? Alright, but to be quite frank, the inner ear is inconsistent with Persian in various ways, including in official art. The theory that Giovanni has a shiny Persian does fit Giovanni's personality, but doesn't really have any solid ground to stand on. Another week and 7 more Pokemon down. It's nice to have some families checked off, especially Bronzors. I'm going to leave links in the description to each of the videos that had the other family members of these Pokemon in it, in case you'd like to check those out. I'm going to get right back into shiny hunting for the next video though, and see what I can find. Have a wonderful week, and happy hunting.